When I stopped giving advice to my clients, they experienced the best breakthroughs they could ever experience in our sessions. And it took me way too long to understand the difference between giving advice and coaching. So today I wanted to dedicate a whole video on this topic so that hopefully if you are a beginner coach or even an experienced one, you understand and realize the power that there is behind holding back from giving your opinion and giving your advice to your clients. If you're new here, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sumaya. I'm the founder of The Healed Sister, which is a coaching business. And the main thing that I do today is help Muslim women certify as breakthrough coaches so that they can create successful coaching businesses and live in accordance with their values. And if that sounds like you, or it sounds like something that you would like to explore for yourself, just a reminder that I'll be hosting a live webinar on Thursday, the 7th of August at 7 p.m. British Summer Time, inshallah, where I'm going to cover the 3 phases that you need to master and to go through in order to create a successful coaching business. So make sure that you comment webinar under this video and I will send you the link to register. Or you can find the link in the description box below, inshallah. So a couple of weeks ago, one of my clients came up to me and she asked me advice about a marketing strategy that she wanted to implement. And I was in mentor mode at that point in our session, so I didn't coach her on it. I just said, if you want my opinion, don't use that strategy right now. Focus on what we've discussed together so far. Do what's working. And maybe in a few months, inshallah, we will explore that strategy if we need it. And you guessed it, she nodded in the session, but then she went ahead and she didn't listen. She used the marketing strategy that I recommended. She doesn't even think about. And she regretted it because it was a bit of a waste of time. But alhamdulillah, it was a lesson for her there. And the lesson for me here was maybe if I did slow down in that moment and I coached her on why she felt like it was a necessity to change direction, to get distracted, to put her energy into a strategy that was not necessarily what was needed right now, maybe if I did that, she would have understood the lesson better and she would not have put her time and energy into doing what I thought was not a good idea. And with experience and time, I've realized that most of the time when I coach people into getting their own insights and breakthroughs, they tend to take action a lot more efficiently and proactively than when I tell them what to do. And I'm sure you can think of times yourself in your life where someone has told you what to do and it has actually created the opposite reaction in you. It has made you not want to do that thing. And on the other hand, maybe someone was talking to you and coaching you through a situation and it led you to having a breakthrough. And after having that breakthrough, you felt that urge and that desire to do something, to act upon it because you felt like this idea came from you. And so the first thing that I wanted you to notice is the difference between coaching versus giving advice. Coaching is empowering to the person who's receiving the coaching, whereas giving advice tends to remove the power from the person by giving them the answers to their question, but not necessarily giving them the desire to do something about it. Especially since you might be giving advice based on your own life experience and opinion, which is not always relevant. So it's a lot more powerful to let the person answer based on their situation, their life experience, their circumstances, right? And what I love about this topic is that there's actually research behind it. Scientists have realized that when you come to a breakthrough on your own, what happens in your brain is what they call neural pathways of ownership. And someone called Dr. David Rock has actually spent quite some time on this phenomenon. And he's realized that when we come to an insight on our own, what it does is that it generates a decent amount of dopamine in our brain, subhanAllah. If you don't know, dopamine is the chemical that is associated with reward. That's why we feel so excited and motivated when we've got breakthroughs in a therapy or coaching session. It's because it feels so rewarding, and there's actually science behind it, subhanAllah. So what he's realized is that dopamine is going to create what he calls the virtuous circle of positive change, because you're going to have a positive insight. It's going to make you feel good about yourself, and it's going to make you want to do something about it. And therefore you are going to take action, and that action is going to make you want to do more, because you're going to feel the reward of taking action and the consequences of it. And it's like this virtuous circle. But this tends to happen more when the breakthrough is coming from you, rather than when it's coming from someone telling you what to do. And that's why coaching is really a practice that will activate your inner knowing instead of bypassing it. That's why it's so efficient. Let me paint another picture for you. Imagine that two professional gardeners are helping a beginner gardener grow his plants and his garden. Okay? And amongst the two professional gardeners, we have one advice giver and one coach. The advice giver is going to walk into the garden and point at what is not going well and tell the beginner gardener, this is what you need to do. You need to water that corner. You need to move this one to the shade. You need to put fertilizer here, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, the coach might be asking questions like, oh, what do you notice about the plants that are thriving versus the ones that are not? What patterns do you see when you touch the soil? What are you noticing? How does it feel? Both technique of supporting the beginner gardener might lead to action, but here's the difference. The new gardener who's received advice is gonna have to go back to the more experienced gardener in order to get answers to their questions the next season. Whereas the person who was coached now understand their garden and can independently take care of it without the help of an experienced gardener anymore. That person will be able to solve problems that arise even without any more support, because they know what questions to ask themselves now. So again, coaching teaches your client that they have inner resources. Giving advice takes away those resources and creates a dependence upon the person who's giving advice. Now, I just want to be clear, giving advice is not always wrong, okay? Sometimes people come up to you and they'll ask a question that requires you to just give advice in your opinion, and that's completely fine. If someone comes to you and asks, where's the mosque? You're not going to ask them, how do you feel spiritually? Like, what does that question say about your spiritual state? No, you're just going to tell them and indicate where the mosque is. It's the same thing in coaching. Time and place. There's a time and a place for everything. Sometimes it is definitely appropriate for you as a coach to share some insights, some opinion and advice with your client, but it should not be your default mode. Especially when your client is facing a pattern that keeps on coming back up and a topic that requires deeper thinking than surface level problem solving, then you really need to reconsider giving advice in that moment. Now, based on experience from myself and my trainees, I know how hard it is to refrain from giving advice. So I don't want you to think that you're a bad coach just because you find it particularly challenging. Not at all. I remember that I used to literally bite my tongue to not give advice to my clients and to use silence instead, or powerful questions. But over time, alhamdulillah, I got better at it, and you will too. And personally, that made a huge difference in my capacity to create transformation in my coaching sessions. And I think this is probably one of the things that helped me grow this much and this big. I think it's something that my clients really appreciate from my coaching skills and style. Alhamdulillah. Like, I know for a fact, some of the best coaching sessions I've had were sessions where I did not give advice at all, and even better, I barely spoke. I know it sounds hard to understand sometimes, but it is actually how it works. The more space you give to your client, the better it is. Although it feels natural to want to help people and give them the solution to their problem just like that easily, but as we saw today, it is actually not how it works in the long term. If you want someone to change themselves, then you need to get them to get insights from within. It's called insights for a reason. And the beautiful thing about the style of coaching that I teach my trainees and that I practice is that the purpose is really to make the client independent. As I mentioned earlier, we don't want them to rely on us for their life. If someone comes to you with one issue, they should have a handful of coaching session on that topic, and they should be able to get the resources to tackle that same issue on their own later on. Someone should not be working with you for years on the same topic. A client can evolve with you over time and work on several issues and problematics with you over years, but the same pattern should not be coming back up again and again and again, with you being the element of dependency here for them. The goal is really to get your clients to a place where they can trust themselves to make decisions on their own. They know how to access their inner wisdom, and they can navigate any challenge confidently. And I find that particularly powerful for Muslim women, because a lot of us, unfortunately, have been raised to depend on people when it comes to validation and taking decisions. A lot of my clients come to me not knowing who they are and what they want for themselves, and not knowing how to take difficult decisions without relying on other people. And I love the fact that coaching gives them permission to trust their own judgments finally, and to not depend on anyone anymore except from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I hope that this video really helped you see the difference between giving advice versus coaching. Again, if you are interested in growing your coaching business and becoming an amazing breakthrough coach, then definitely come to my webinar on August 7th, inshallah. It's going to be on a Thursday at 7 p.m. British Summer Time. Just comment webinar under this video and I will send you the link to register. It'll be nice to have you live with me so that you can interact with me and ask me any questions that you have about creating a successful coaching business. If you want to know more about the skills to master in order to be a powerful coach, I've mentioned 2 today, which were silence and asking powerful questions. There's 4 in total. I just did a video on that topic last week. So go and check that out, inshallah. I will see you in the next video, inshallah. Ma salama, beautiful.